to learn to live the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Click the bell notification. It's all free. So I'm sure you all have heard that there are food shortages, grocery store shortages. Of course, we don't go to the grocery store that often, so it's hard for me to ever comment on, is it really that bad? Folks send me pictures all the time of the shelves being empty. So the other day I was watching a video, I guess it was yesterday morning, and one of the channels that I watch was saying, you know what, it's not that bad. Later that day he made another video. He said, I decided to go out in town and check to see how things were going. And he went out in town and all of a sudden he saw a bunch of empty shelves, Dollar General and grocery store, and he went on, several pictures. So I asked Carolyn, I said, do you think maybe we should go to the store and just see what's going on? I mean, we needed a few items from Walmart. We made a run to Walmart. When I say make a run to Walmart, I mean, that's a 2-hour trip for us. It's a 45-minute trip out to Walmart, go shopping, come back. We went around the entire store. And there were some things that were low, like bread. Of course, it was Sunday, and bread delivery doesn't happen on Sundays, I wouldn't imagine. The rice was kind of low, but we were able to buy some. We got 40 pounds of rice. My point is I think if you're just gonna go grocery shopping, that we're not in any kind of crisis. As a matter of fact, we went over to the canning section and we bought pint jars. We only bought 3. There were still 6 on the shelf. And then on the end cap, there was 2 more. And the thing is this is canning season. You would think these would be sold out. Now, I will admit, the last time I tried to buy them from Walmart.com, they canceled the order. Even a hard item to get, they had. And then we went over to Save-A-Lot, which is our grocery store. That's what we go to. It's pretty cheap. And we thought, well, we'll check that out. Save-A-Lot never seems to have a problem. They always seem to be well stocked. Now, prices go up and down a lot at Save-A-Lot. One of the things that we've noticed is Hamburger. It goes way up and it goes way down. So last time we were there was probably about 2 weeks ago, maybe. It was almost $17 for 5 pounds. But occasionally they have these sales and I don't know why. So yesterday we went and they had it for $12. So $5 less for the same amount of meat. Now I would have thought that, well, maybe it's getting ready to expire or something. But when you read the date, it says October 21st. So it's got 10 days left. I think today's the 10th or 11th. I wanted to buy more, but of course we have to can and different things in order to preserve it. We had enough room to put it in the fridge. We could have bought some ice and put it in coolers, but again, we're catching the sales. This is important to us. We always try to catch the sales on meats. Today we're gonna can this. Now, last time I made a canning video, YouTube decided not to send it out. I don't know why. I just don't understand it. All my canning videos have done very well. So they sent it out to a few people. It got like half the views it normally gets. But people who did watch it, watched it all the way through. My watch time was really good. So I'm not going to make a canning video per se. We're going to talk about food preservation just in general as I go along through the canning process. So maybe YouTube won't consider it a canning video and they'll look at it as food preservation. With meats, you can have a choice of cold pack or hot pack, meaning if you're gonna hot pack it, you gotta cook it first and then put it in jars and can it. I do that with chicken because I wanna get all the meat off the bones. So that's a hot pack. With a cold pack, you just put the raw meat into the jars, and as it's pressurizing, it cooks the meat. We do that with pork. If we can find a big pork butt, we'll just cut it up into small little cubes, throw it in a jar, and can it. But with hamburger, you don't have the option of cold packing. My suspicions are they're afraid that you're gonna try to overpack the jar. That's the only thing I can think. But they have a recipe for hot packing, so we're gonna hot pack, which means I gotta cook it on the stove. I got these big pans up here that we'll throw it in, we'll cook it up. Now we'll probably have some left over. Roughly 20 pounds per 1 pound per pint jar is what it takes. But last time we did hamburger, we had some left over. So we put it in the fridge. We were able to make meals with it over the next few days. Okay, so now I'm gonna load up the jars with hamburger. Now I've washed the jars. I put them in a cooler with hot water so the jars will stay hot, because as you put hot materials in the jar, like hot hamburger, boiling water. You don't want the jar to break. You want it to be at temperature. Got a funnel here I almost forgot to use. The funnel helps the burger get into the jar. I bet a lot of folks, I know I didn't in the past, don't keep track of the price they paid for in their last shopping trip. So if you, for example, went and looked at the hamburger prices and it was $16 a pound and you decided you weren't going to buy it, do you remember that you weren't going to buy that last time because it was $16 a pound, and then this time you go and it's $12 a pound? Well, is that a savings? What, you know, you're trying to remember. Well, I have YouTube videos to help me remember what I've purchased and what the prices were, because I always talk about them. So if you took a picture of the price of hamburger the last time, you know, when you go, even if you don't buy it, that way you can remember what it is this time when you go and think, oh, that's a good deal. Okay, so I filled it up with hamburger. I put boiling water in it, and I'm gonna put the boiling water right up to the collar. You try to get the air bubbles out of this. Okay, so the next job is the rims here of the ring, the lip, whatever you want to call it, has to be cleaned off, because a hamburger or grease could be on it and the lids won't seal on it. And I'm going to use reusable Tattler lids also. So I have a few regular lids, but then I got the Tattler lids, and I've watched a couple videos that said Tattler lids don't work on meat. Now I've used them on meat, they work fine, but I think the problem is they don't get these jars cleaned. So what I use is vinegar. That removes the grease and the hamburger. A lot of people just use water. One of the things I keep going back and forth with the commenters is different types of preservation methods. Canning to me is the best preservation method I can think of, other than freezing. And freezing has its downfalls. One, I can't freeze that much food because I don't have that much electricity. But canning seems to be one of those things that if you know how to do it and you do it right, it really preserves food for a long time. Now the FDA says it only preserves food for a year, but I've seen people eat canned food 10 years down the road. I don't know if I would actually do that, but you get the idea. There are other preservation methods that I'm not sure are safe. A lot of people talk about smoking the meat. Even in the Facebook groups, they all talk about it's a short time preservation method, a month, 2 months. If you don't get all the moisture out of the meat, it's got to be completely dry. It will rot. And I'm not willing to risk my health, especially if we're in a situation where you can't get to the doctor or anything like that. Another method that I do use is curing, salt cure. And we have had salt cure go bad. Now, the thing is the more I study on salt cure, the more I realize I'm not using enough salt. The way I salt it, I just kind of rub it around the pork or whatever it is I'm curing. It soaks in the refrigerator for 3 days, and then you can pull it out. And it lasts about 2 weeks to a month. Again, it's not getting all the moisture out. So even in the Facebook groups, there's this expert in the Facebook group. He thinks he's got it all figured out. He'll even say, oh, you just cut the mold off. Well, if you got mold, that means you got moisture. That means that's dangerous. I'm not sure there's any other method that's as safe. Now, when you go look at the FDA's stuff, they don't talk about smoking or anything. Now, dehydration is another one, and I'm kind of okay with dehydration. Beef jerky is, you know, jerky meat. That's okay as long as you vacuum seal the meat afterwards, because you are getting the moisture out of that. And like if you go to the store and you buy jerky, in the package, it's vacuum sealed, it's dried out. That can last up to a year. I think I've seen up to a year. Okay, the next thing you want to do is you want to put your lids in boiling water. Well, I still got some boiling water left over when I filled up the jars with boiling water. So I'm just going to dump this over like this. Now I do have a magnet, but I didn't bring it out with me. And you just put the lid on like that, and you put the ring on and you hand tighten it. Not over tight, just kind of hand tighten it. Now, I'm going to use Tattler lids. There's a trick to the Tattler lid. So a Tattler lid is the lid and a gasket seal. These are reusable. You can reuse the gasket seal up to 10 times. These last forever. You can buy replacements of these fairly inexpensively. You put the lid on, make sure the O-ring doesn't fall down just like that. And you do not want to over tighten these. You put the lid on like that, you put your finger on it just like this, and you spin the jar. That's as tight as it goes. So I got all the 20 cans in the pressure canners, 10 in each canner. You got to put 3 quarts of water in each canner. These are Presto 20 quarts, I forget, canners. You can buy them at Walmart. They're fairly inexpensive, like $75. So right now what I'm doing is I'm releasing the steam, because you got to evacuate all the air out of there. This one is running a little bit slower or further behind than this one, because it was out here on the edge and the wind was blowing on it. So I put the cooler here, but you evacuate it for 10 minutes. It'll equal out here in a minute, and they'll both be at the same temperature. Once the air is out, then we'll put the little jigglers on. That'll jiggle for 75 minutes. Then you let the pressure decrease. Once these little tabs, you'll see this little tab right here. Once that drops down, then you can take the lid off. You take the jars out, you'll set them on a surface so they don't crack. We'll put a towel over this. If you want to learn how to can some of the things that we can, we got bacon and pork, chicken and hamburger. Go to my playlist. I'll put a link somewhere around here and in the description. And all my canning videos are in there. I hope I can inspire you to learn how to preserve your foods so you can live your dream. Thanks for watching.